Business and Bubbly, Biz Besties. I am coming to you with a little bit different of an episode today. And this one is going to announce some big changes, honestly, that we have going on with Business and Bubbly. And I kind of want to preface it with gratitude first, like gratitude for everything that this entire journey has been. It actually started back in 2021, where it just kind of this small seed of an idea, and coming out of COVID, I was really longing for and desiring for just kind of in-person connection again. And so over 2020, I was kind of hosting some smaller events and retreats and some fun stuff like that. And women just kept asking, like, can we do this more? This is so needed. Like, there's nothing that replaces the magic of what happens when we get into the room together. And so I just remember like starting to put on my like branding hat and business hat and putting it together and just dreaming a little bit about what this could look like as far as networking, obviously in the way that we have done it, which has been so fun to build, so fun to see, and so fun to cultivate. We've taken networking kind of out of the 1990s and brought it into modern day, and, away from the here's my business card and like the bad 30-second stories. And it has been, and what started then with this like small little Instagram account in my little corner of Boise, Idaho, blew up into nationwide networking chapters and incredible communities all over the nation. And gosh, it has been one of the most pleasant surprises. Like it wasn't in the plan. It wasn't, it was just kind of this little thing that I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like do this thing. And it has been one of the most pleasant surprises that I have journeyed through. And it was at times where I was longing for community. It allowed for that. When I, in the most beautiful way, was growing as a leader, all of a sudden these incredible chapter directors came alongside, and we were able to grow together, and I was able to pour into them as they were able to then pour into our other local chapters and local communities. And so it's not without like a heart of gratitude and without even like remembering how it started and what it has done for so many women. And with bittersweet, I'm announcing that we're actually shifting away from the chapter model. And it hasn't come without like a lot of questions and a lot of, honestly, for me, prayer. I'm a Christ follower, and so for me, my belief in God has definitely been a big factor in all of like the big questions that I'm asking, and what does it look like to move forward, and what does this look like, and what is this dream of even, okay, the dream of the 25 and the 50 chapters and the 100 chapters one day. And for me, I just remember like God saying to me, like, it's not a bad dream to have. It just isn't the dream that I have for you. And when he like spoke that to my heart and spoke that to my spirit, if I'm being like transparent with you guys, as just our community, like you're not like an audience, you're not followers to us. Like we have so intentionally understood the difference between like building an audience and building a community. Like we're not here to say like, look at me, how amazing I am. Like we're here to say, wow, like look at you, look at how amazing you are. And that has been so evident in the rooms and the culture that we've created and the connections that have been made and the communities that we've built. And so it's like, gosh, it's like really, it can be really hard when, like I said, it has been like this beautiful, pleasant surprise that it honestly, like, it wasn't on my radar, but there was so many, like, in such a good way, there was so much joy, there was so much favor, there was so many open doors, there was so much momentum behind it. And I was kind of holding on for for the ride, if I'm being honest. But um, there, it hasn't also been without a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of learning things the hard way, but also learning what I don't want, if that makes sense. Because I've been in a space where, as we have started kind of the nationwide networking chapter model, um, it's been this really interesting thing of, okay, I'm not necessarily like my heart, and you guys have heard me say this before, like one of my personal missions is to build big people. And as the chapters and the locations have grown, it has required more of me to build an organization and to build, which isn't bad by any means, but it also, like, I don't necessarily want to like build, different departments and HR teams and legal teams and larger customer service um, and build like an organizational structure to be able to house like this beautiful idea and this beautiful dream of, hundreds of communities one day. And that's what this dream, like, I actually like to say, like, Business and Bubbly is like this, it was like this dream in the ethers that kind of plunked into my spirit, and I took it and ran with it. And it's like, oh, okay, now this dream is requiring more of me or parts of me that I might not necessarily be willing to give, and even just give in this season. I'm a mom. I have a 2.5-year-old. I have a 9-year-old. We're homeschooling, and those are the things that really matter the most to me. And it's like there was this like this tension that like kept pulling, where the organization of Business and Bubbly itself was requiring and like pulling more from me than I was willing to give. And so it like started to become this like tighter and tighter tension of and it just like there came a point where it was just like, this isn't like what I want to be building anymore as far as like the chapter model. And so our directors are aware, our incredible community builders. We've been working kind of behind the scenes on what it looks like to transition communities potentially over to something that they're doing, compared to, some that want to continue, some that aren't necessarily continuing kind of in their own, kind of taking what they've built in their local cities, and we're giving them like, okay, like we're working together to transition people into being able to continue. But yeah, it's this interesting space to be in of a good dream, but not a God dream. And it hasn't been without a lot of, like I said, like a lot of tears. It hasn't been like this decision wasn't made in haste. It wasn't made, it has actually been months and months and months and months in my journals and prayers, and in asking the big questions, and in even just like really close friends and wise counsel for me in this space. And I didn't want to make a decision until, like, for me, like my higher power, my CEO, if you will, is God. And I didn't want to make a decision until there was like a very clear direction, or a very clear word, if you will. And so, yeah, it's like I'm coming to you like vulnerably, like with so much gratitude, but also grief. And like there is this truth that lives in tension of, oh gosh, like when you pour your heart and your soul and your finances and your time and your blood, sweat, and tears into something, um, and it turns into something so beautiful. And I mean, don't get me wrong, there's been really hard times and times that have required my expansion and growth and all of that stuff, which is good. And like it just, how it's set up isn't necessarily what I either want to continue to build, or even am called to build. Just behind the scenes, for those of you who maybe don't know, so I actually have another podcast. It's called Meant for More. I actually have a women's ministry that I run. I've been in ministry school actually for the last, since 2020, and graduated just in May. And there's actually like a clear call for me to step fully into ministry. And there was even like an interesting truth that lived in the tension of, oh gosh, like my heart is like everything in me, and like my core beliefs of faith and all this different stuff. It's been interesting to see how my like personal brand, and if you come to my like Instagram, Charity Majors, and then there's like the Business and Bubbly brand, and it almost felt like this business, or like this entity of this business and this brand voice started to put like my personal beliefs in a box. And so it's been like this really interesting thing to navigate. And yeah. And so it was like, oh, as I not only graduated ministry school, and then for me, God was so clear in saying, this is a good dream, but it's not a God dream. It's not the dream that I have for you. I knew that I had to, like every place that I was white knuckling or grasping for control, I actually had to open up my hands. And I remember actually at our Business and Bubbly conference, I was on stage and I was sharing this story. And I can't help but think about this story actually being almost like this, like this foretelling of, oh, like I would actually have to remind myself of that story, even months and months and months ago before I had actually made the final decision. And so I'm going to share this story with you, and it's so applicable for now. And what, what I'm like surrendering and letting go of and holding with an open hand. Because being transparent, I actually don't necessarily know what the future is, not only of Business and Bubbly, but of my exact steps moving forward. Like I'm very much in the free fall of surrender, and very much in the uncomfortableness of wanting to grasp for control of everything that I can, as I see everything, start to slip away, and as I don't necessarily have a full clear picture of what it looks like to move forward. And is that there's something in my spirit that still is like, wait. And so it's like this, there's like so much happening internally in the midst of this decision. And so the story that I was telling at conference it was actually like when I learned what trust looks like. And I was little. I was with my dad. I was maybe like, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6. And I was a daddy's girl, and he had taken me to the park one day. We were just on like a little daddy-daughter date, and it was a warm, beautiful day. I remember, I could hear the birds chirping and the sun beating down on my skin, and I was on the monkey bars. And my daddy had helped me up to get up onto the monkey bars, and I was like, going across and gripping the next one and going across, and I was doing it, and I was getting stronger, and I was like so proud of myself. And as I got towards the end of it, it was almost like I started to get tired, and my fingers, they started to get sweaty, and my hands started to cramp, and I started to kind of wiggle around and be like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to fall, but I'm like so close and I can make it. And I just remember like standing there, and hanging there, dangling there from the monkey bars. And I looked down and, to my 6-year-old little body, like it looked so far away and the ground looked so far away. And I just remember like seeing my little feet dangling there. And as my hands were stinging, I had a white knuckle grip on the monkey bars. And I just remember finally saying like, Daddy, I need your help. I need your help. I can't, will you catch me? I'm going to fall. And I just remember the strong, loving voice of my dad coming up behind me. And he just gently said, Love Bug, I'm right here. I'm right behind you. You can let go. I won't let you fall. And I hung there and I was like, but Daddy, but I can't see you. I can hear your voice. I can't see you. Can you come around to the front so I can see you? And I know that you're there and I know that you'll catch me. And he stayed right where he was. And in his strong and gentle voice, he said, Love Bug, you can hear my voice. I'm right here. You can trust me. Let go and I won't let you fall. And I remember I was kind of faced with this decision in this moment of I could either try and wiggle my way and muscle my way through those last few monkey bars and, maybe like hurt my hands. I felt like I was getting blisters. Like I was so tired. Maybe I could fall. And it was like, or I could actually trust that even in the midst of this struggle and pain and maybe where I'm so close to a goal but I just can't do it anymore. What if I just actually trusted my dad and I let go? And in that moment, I just remember letting go. I remember taking a deep breath and letting go. And the loving arms of my dad, he just wrapped me up. He caught me midair and he wrapped me up. And I just remember in the midst of that free fall, like there is that moment where it's like, oh, I let go of the monkey bars and that like, oh my gosh, like here we go. Like, is he going to catch me? And it was this moment of free fall. And like there was this truth that lived in the tension of that free fall and trust, where I trusted that I would actually be caught by the arms of love. And my dad caught me in that moment and he wrapped me up and he spinned me around and he looked into my eyes and he had these deep smile lines and a big smile on his face. And he just said, Love Bug, I'm so proud of you. You learned what trust is. And something in my heart, in my little 6-year-old, 7-year-old heart, it actually really stuck with me. And now back to the conference when I was sharing that story, and even now, like I can't help but see it as this picture of like, oh gosh, like I've been on this journey of these monkey bars with Business and Bubbly, and I was holding on, and there were places where I felt strong and it was good. And then there were other times where it's like, oh, like, I don't know if I can do this, or like, is this actually what I want to, like the part of the playground that I want to be playing on? And there were just like parts of, like I was getting close to burnout. Like I mentioned, it was like kind of this tension of the organization itself is requiring more of me, and I'm like refusing to give it because I was on the verge of burnout. And it was like, oh, and I actually heard God's voice for me in this situation. It was like, oh, actually, I'm like supposed to let go, like more effort, more energy, more finances, more performance, like more efforting, more striving. Like that actually isn't, like I could do that. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm very capable. I'm actually like a former collegiate athlete. I'm not afraid of grit. I'm not afraid of work. I'm not afraid of sticking with something when it gets hard. I think that there's like that truth that lives in the tension of like, oh, like, okay, am I supposed to stick with this because it's hard and I'm expanding? Or, oh, is there actually like a shift that's happening to where I am like gripping onto something with control that I'm not supposed to be holding on to either that tightly, or I'm not supposed to be holding on to anymore? And I just like for me after prayer, I just felt like a lot of prayer, a lot of big questions, and a lot of asking why, honestly. I just felt like the divine invitation to ooh, let go of the white knuckle grip, to let go of the efforting and the performance and the striving for something that isn't the dream that I'm supposed to be building anymore. And that is honestly so hard to think about and so hard to admit, and it's vulnerable, and it's even for me, it's oh gosh, these incredible leaders and chapter directors partnered with me, and we're in this beautiful journey of building this thing together, and what are they going to think, and then what's our community going to think, and I don't want to let anybody down, and what if I'm misunderstood, and it's all of this stuff. And so it still is very real. It still is very raw. It's the gratitude and the grief. It's the relief. Honestly, it was when I let go and I made that decision, and then over the last couple months invited the directors into it, and we've been processing on what it looks like as each of their contracts actually are coming up to be done over the next couple months. It just so quote unquote divinely was orchestrated that way. We're learning what it looks like to transition well, to exit one season well. I actually believe that when we exit one season, how we exit one season actually has an effect on how we enter another season. And so my heart, even as the founder, as a community builder, I know this might not even make sense. You guys, I published a really great book called Connection Capital, and it's all about networking and how to do that really well, and come be a part of what we're doing. It might not make sense to the outside world, and I think that that's probably the hardest part is gosh, people could totally misunderstand me, and I could look so dumb, and it's what are you doing? You're just right in the prime of it, and you're gonna experience all this massive growth. And I'm oh, it's so true, and I so could, and we so could. And it would be good, but it wouldn't be God, at least for me. And so in the midst of this really, really deep surrender, in this midst of the fear of being misunderstood, in the midst of probably disappointing some of you guys, and probably all the things, this is real, and we're just in it. And so like I said, I'm in the free fall. And there have been some things behind the scenes as far as ministry wise that are going on, and I'm having some pretty big meetings and that kind of a thing, as far as even a position professionally, but ministry wise. Anyways, it's my heart burns for Jesus. My heart burns for and don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not trying to push my beliefs on you. I know that Business and Bubbly isn't faith-based. Business and Bubbly is very much come as you are. There's space for us to have different beliefs, and it's not it's a box that I can't be in anymore, because the fire in my bones has been so stifled, and my voice has been very partial. It has been very fragmented towards the box of business and community and culture and leadership and that kind of a thing. And don't get me wrong, I love that stuff. But it's not what my heart burns for, and it's not what I was there's a difference between when you're doing something that you enjoy and that you like and you're good at, and all, there are natural gifts and talents and things like that, but it's there's a difference between what your heart burns for and when you know what you're made for. And I think for me, stepping into this season, into a whole new level of confidence of what I'm made for, and really owning the voice and the message that I carry in the inside of my bones and in every cell of my body. It's been a really interesting season to navigate, to surrender to let go of, to learn what it looks like to exit well and to process through, with our directors and even just with my own heart. And so I don't even really know how to land this plane besides this is where we're at, and I don't even have this is what it's going to look like moving forward or where we're going. I'm not going to say that Business and Bubbly is closing down by any means. We're just not doing the chapter model anymore. And so it sounds like I guess part of my invitation even for you as you're listening to this is be in the free fall with me, which sounds so scary. And it sounds like a whole nother invitation of trust. And maybe you are finding yourself in spaces of needing to trust at a deeper level. I know there's actually been a lot of conversations that I've been having of people who they're sensing this massive shift that they've been going through as well. And it is inviting them into surrender and inviting them into deeper levels of trust and inviting them into letting go of a lot of different things that don't make sense. And they're the fear of being misunderstood and all this different stuff. And it's none of it makes sense to the external world. But it's when you actually know deep down in your heart, in your spirit, in your intuition, it's I'm actually meant to let go. It is that there is grief, but there is also relief. And there's also I have so much gratitude for every single one of you, whether I've gotten to meet you in person or not. If you've listened once, or if you have been here for a long time, if you've been a part of our community, or you've come once, or you've just you've wanted to, if you're on Instagram, you've seen what we're doing on Instagram, and if you wanted to come, this could be, your last chance as far as of what it looks like now. But what I do know is it is always unto something. And here's another analogy. I'm not necessarily a gardener, if you will. I'm actually a recovering plant killer. I used to kill every single plant that I had. I can officially now keep them alive, which is really great. But if you are familiar with gardening and planting, I actually have this really big rose bush in my backyard, and I've been learning about it because we moved into this house about a year ago, and it was already there. And it was big, and it took up space, and it had all these little blooms on it, which for me, it looked pretty, but I like the big, the juicy, the incredible, the beautiful big blooms. So for me, I actually really enjoy quality over quantity. And this rose bush that we have, it has quantity of roses, but they're smaller. And so actually it was as I was making this decision, I went out and I was hacking away at this rose bush and all these different branches with these smaller blooms. And if you know anything about gardening or pruning, it actually is when you prune a tree or a vine or a rose bush, it actually is unto more fruitfulness and actually is unto bigger blooms. And there's such intricate and delicate ways to be able to trim branches and trim smaller things and trim it up and shape it in a way so that when it does bloom again, that this plant isn't spending all this time and energy and effort growing these small little branches or these small little sticks or these small little blooms. And so even now, my rose bush currently at the time that I'm recording this, it's starting to grow again, and it's not as big. It doesn't take as much space, but the blooms are going to be bigger. There might be less of them, but they're going to be more quality. And it just is this beautiful reminder to me. It's oh, when things in our life are being stripped away, when they're being pruned, when things are being trimmed, when it's okay, I actually have to cut off things that are taking energy and effort, and there isn't much fruitfulness, there isn't much return on investment, there isn't much, like, it actually is like a time or an energy suck. Right? It's draining resources instead of like actually there's something like in the way of, if you think, right, like production of, oh, this plant, like this, it's growing a, these roses. Is this plant producing something that's quality? Is it producing something that, it's meant to be producing? And so that's like been where I have totally have been at. And as things have been stripping away, and as our directors are phasing out, and as, members are phasing out, and our chapters are beginning to close out over the next couple months, I always know it's unto something, and it's unto more fruitfulness, it's unto greater blossoming. And so if you're maybe finding yourself in a similar season, know that you're not alone, first of all. Know that it is hard. And I do know that in those times where things are being stripped away, even in the analogy of gardening, right? Like the hand of the gardener is so close. And so just know that whatever hand is guiding you, whatever divine gardener is guiding you in this season, if things are being stripped away, if you're finding yourself in the midst of transition, if you're finding yourself kind of in the middle of like, oh, I'm not quite where I was, but I'm not necessarily where I am supposed to be, or I don't maybe know what that looks like, I'm right there with you, like fully transparent. Like I said, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like moving forward, but I actually trust, like in the midst of my letting go of the monkey bars and in the midst of my free fall, I actually am like leaning into so much trust that I'm going to be caught by the arms of love that won't let me fall. And I actually believe that for you too, if you're in the similar season. And the most beautiful part about even what we've been doing is, it's funny, like we've had multiple conversations with our directors about like, gosh, there's so many networking groups that are popping up, and so many people are becoming community builders, and so many people are hosting other events. And it's like, it's so true. So guess what? You're not going to be like left high and dry. I'm sure there's a bunch of incredible things that are going on in your local community. If you are, part of our membership, and if you are a part of our community. And so guess what? You actually still get to take the heart and the culture and the things that you've learned with us, and you still get to take that wherever you go, no matter what community you're in, no matter what culture you're in. And so my charge for you is to be a thermostat, is to, like, I talk with our directors about this. A lot of times people are thermometers, right? They can like read the temperature of the room, and they'll like, oh, like she's got bad vibes, or like, oh, like I don't know if I like this environment. But when you're actually a thermostat, not a thermometer, you actually can affect the environment around you. Right, like in this room that I'm recording in, I'm actually like looking at a thermostat right now. And I could start a campfire in this room, and it would kick on and it would heat up this little studio that I'm in. But guess what? That thermostat is actually in charge of the air current and the temperature in this room. And it's going to kick it right back to the 70 degrees that it is set at, because that's what this thermostat is set at. So for you, if you have been in our environment, if you have been in our business and bubbly culture, your thermostat, your internal community thermostat is set to collaboration, and it is set to leadership, and it is set to like being big people, and it is set to all of these incredible things that we have within our community and within our culture. And you get to take that wherever you are, and whatever room you go into next, know that your heart, like you get like your heart set, is you get to affect the atmosphere and the atmosphere around you to be collaborative. So it's like, oh, if someone all of a sudden, oh, they're gossiping and blah, 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 right? And your heart is actually set to collaboration and encouragement and lifting other people up. Guess what? Boom. That environment goes right back to what your heart, what your thermostat is set at. And so my encouragement for you, if you are a part of our community, first of all, I want to thank you. From the bottom of my heart, it is such an honor to know you, to be a part of this with you, to build this with you. Like, this has never been about me. Like, this has always been about us. And my encouragement for you is that whatever is next for you is to to be a thermostat in the rooms that you walk into, to be encouraging, to be collaborative, to like make those win-win conversations and those win-win collaborations and those win-win situations, lift each other up. Like even another thing is for us, it's like, people are like bubbly, like it's always just mean that you're just like drinking champagne. It's like, no, it actually is a way of being, right? Like bubbly, like we rise together, and it's better to do like, right, instead of like drinking alone, like, no, we do it together. It's better to be done together, and we rise to the top, and we're encouraging, and we're positive, and we're fun, and we are uplifting. It's like this heart set that we have within our culture. And if you have been within our culture, you have a part of that too. That's inside of you. And so no matter like whatever, wherever your journey does lead you, like you actually get to go with that. And my heart and my hope is that you leave our space better than what you came, more loved than, like hopefully you got loved on really, really well. Hopefully you made some really, really incredible connections and community. Hopefully you learned some things along the way. And like I said, I don't know what the future of Business and Bubbly is. I do know we're not necessarily doing chapters at this time, as they do phase out over the next couple months. So all I guess I'm going to say is like, stay tuned, which is so uncomfortable because I like to have a plan and I like to know what's going on. And I'm like, I'm going to have a whatever for already next year and all this stuff. But it's like, oh, growth and expansion actually requires deeper surrender, and transition requires deeper surrender. And so that is just like where I'm at, fully being, transparent and vulnerable and inviting you guys into the journey and into my heart and into just where we're at. So if you have questions, like I'm happy to address those. Obviously our directors and our members, you guys are going to be taking care of. Our heart is to transition through this with integrity, with love, with respect. If you have questions, feel free to email us, hello@businessandbubbly.com. And just stay tuned and stick around. Like I said, I don't really know what's next. We do know there's transition. We do know there's change, but it is always unto something, and we really believe that. So, all right, my friends, that's what we got for right now. There will be a handful of other episodes that kind of pop through, so stick around. We're actually going to be launching our book. It's called Rise: How to Find Your People, Your Power, Your Purpose in Your Journey Towards Success. And I even talk about some of what I've been experiencing in my chapter of the book. It's a collaborative book with 7 of us women. And I actually go into a lot of more in depth in my chapter of the book. So that's going to be coming out at the end of August. So stay tuned for that, because you are definitely going to want to get the stories of the women that are in there. And like I said, I kind of pull back the curtain on a lot more in depth in what I have been going through and transitioning through. Sometimes a rise looks like burning it down. Sometimes growth looks like pruning and chopping it all off. And sometimes it doesn't make sense, but there's trust. And so I talk a lot about that. So stay tuned for the book. Stay tuned for what's next. We don't really know, but we're like, this is like real, and we're in it. So welcome to real life. We're not ever going to pretend to be perfect. Like, we're in it totally with you guys. I'm in it with you guys too. So thanks for sticking around. We love you, and stay tuned. That's all I got. All right. Stay tuned.